Hello, my dear viewers. Might I ako ang takayomin or a pleasant day to everyone. First of all, to introduce myself, I am Mirasol Subaday, and today let me bring you to the land of the mountains, the land of the people, and hail as the land of the golden opportunities, the municipality of Itogon. This let me welcome you to the golden mountains of Itogon. Welcome. And now let me bring you on a rural tour on the rural wonders of the place through our virtual tour entitled Rural Tourism Mountaineering on the Rural Wonders of Itogon. So Itogon is approximately 270 kilometers away from the capital of the Philippines, that is Manila. It lies in the region of Cordillera in the province of Benguet. The municipality of Itogon is bordered by La Trinidad in Tublay in the northwest, Tuba and Baguio City in the west, Pangasinan in the south, and Nueva Vizcaya in the southwest. It also experiences two seasons similar to the other regions and provinces of the country, which is the dry and wet season. The dry season starts from the month of December until the month of March, while the wet season starts from the month of April until November. The municipality of Itagan is politically divided into 9 barangays with a recorded population of 61,948 based on the 2020 census, and currently it is being headed by Honorable Mayor Bernard Wacklin. Also, did you know that Itogon was popular, also known as the Gold Heaven in the region? That is because they are one of the top producer of gold in the region, and at the same time, mining is one of their top economic activities. And of course, before we go to the exciting part of our tour, let me give you or share you a glimpse of the humble beginnings of Itogon. So just like any other places and regions in the country and even in the world, Itogon as well has underwent a series of historical events in the past years. Now let's start during the pre-Hispanic era, whereas the people of Itogon, by frequent narrations, were actually occupied by picking up and washing out golds in Akupan, which is a specific place in Itogon as their source of living. Thus, the Spanish authorities had set to conquest in the place to seek for gold, and there were actually three recorded conquistadors who attempted to seek for gold in the area, and they are Captain Garcia y Cabrera, Sergeant Major Antonio Carino de Valdez, and Don Alonso Martin Quirante. However, the three of them had failed their attempts because they were overpowered by the Igolots, reason why they left the place frustrated and gold empty. Now, during the Hispanic period, is that Kodang of Itogon, or which is now known as the Sitio Picat of Poblacion Itogon, was actually appointed as the Capitan del Pueblo of Itogon. And after him were also list of names of successions which led the community from 1892 to 1899. Now, during the American regime, is that 10 or more so insurrectors has actually arrived on Sitio Lukbuban in Poblacion Itogon, and that they convinced the villagers that they came there in peace. However, later on was actually known as they were being pursued by the American troops, reason why the American troops had set their camps and tents at Balinway, which is now the present Itogon Central, and this became the start of the Americans mining in the community with the villagers. And this also became the start for the missionaries to come into place, and that they built churches, schools, and even help improve the road system in the place. Now, after the World War II broke out in Pacific, and Philippines as the only colony of the United States, Philippines became the primary target of the Japanese, whereas this resulted to the Japanese bombing of Baguio City in September 1941. And since Itogon is a neighborhood area of the Baguio City, is that Itogon also suffered some of the tragedy of the bombing, which brought terror and fear to the people of Itogon. And to share to you some of the notable events of the Itogonian participations during the war is when they attacked the Japanese tank guide column, and when also the Japanese troops had an encounter with the civilian volunteers, which is being guided or led by Mr. Gavino Galonza, a common people of Itogon. And of course, after the official surrendering of General Tomoyuki Yamashita to General Jonathan M. Wainwright, the generals of the Americans at Camp Janhei, this also began the start of the modern and contemporary period of Itogon, whereas there are recorded several events in the place, such as the construction of dams, improvements and developments of infrastructures, and also the starting of and the booming of tourism in the place. Now that's enough for our flashback for the history of Itogon. Now let's proceed to the exciting part of our tour. So today let me introduce to you the four mountain attractions of Itogon, which are the top destinations actually here in the rural Itogon. And these are Mount Ulap Eco Trail in Ampucao, Mount Pidawan in Poblacion, Mount Pigingan in Dalupirip, and Mount Ugo in Tinongdan. These four mountain attractions are actually one of the best must-try destinations that you can try here in the municipality of Itagan in case you wanted to escape the life in the urban areas or in the cities that you are in. Now let's start with Mount Ulap Eco Trail as our very first destination in this area. So from Manila, if ever you decided to go to Mount Ulap, you can actually travel for about 46 hours for the 242 kilometers distance of Baguio and Manila. And from Baguio, going to the Mount Ulap Eco Trail, it will probably take you for about 1 hour to 2 hours travel to reach the destination. And of course, the start of the travel starts in the Barangay Hall of Ampucao, wherein you can actually register your name in there before you start with the hiking. And from the Barangay Hall, you're now going to the first point of the trail or the hike, which is the Tumtumbek. So Tumtumbek is the first point of the hiking activity in Mount Ulap Eco Trail. So from Tumtumbek, we're actually going to see, of course, the start of the view of mountains and pine trees in the area. And from Tumtumbek, we're going to the next entry point or the next point, which is the Coral Tapak. So Coral Tapak is actually a prominent rock formation where you can actually rest after a hike of the uphill scale of the mountain. You can also take pictures in there and see the surrounding mountains and trees and use the backdrop of the sky as you take picture and rest. So after Coral Tapak, you can now proceed to the next point of the hiking, which is the Ambanaw Pawai. Ambanaw Pawai is the area where actually you can have a view of the endless grassland and pine ridges in this hike. So you can actually enjoy the natural breeze, the kiss of the sun while exploring and looking at the site that the destination is providing you. So at this point, you can actually lay on the grass and roll yourselves in there and enjoy how wide the place is and how wonderful it is. So from Ambanaw Pawai, you can now proceed to the Gungal Rock. Gungal Rock is one of the best feature of this destination or of this attraction. As you visit the websites or you going to search about the place or the Mount Ulap, you can actually see most of the pictures taken are actually in this area because again it has the best feature of the mountains. In case you wanted to try the Gungal rock and want to take picture at the edge of the rock, it requires you to be brave enough to challenge yourself with the height and balanced in this rock. So in case you wanted to try, please make sure to always be careful and always be ready. And also please make sure that you have a wonderful capture of camera so that you can actually capture the best scene or best picture that it will give you. And from the Gungal Rock, you can now proceed to the summit of the mountain or the highest peak of the mountain, which is the Mount Ulap's summit. So in this area, you can actually see family of cows inhabiting this area, whereas you can experience the authentic and rural vibes of being in a province or being in a rural area. So you can actually view here, of course, the surrounding mountains and also the downtown hills of this trail and also enjoy the greeny and very authentic views that it gave you. So from the summit, you will now proceed to the cave, whereas you can actually witness in there an exhibit of a boreal cave showing you also a skull of the human body. So from the boreal cave, as you proceed to the exit point, which is the Santa Fe, you can actually pass by a hanging bridge. The hanging bridge is not that high and not that short, but it will still give you the authentic experience of trying a hanging bridge. And also, what's interesting here is that as you hike, you also shop because as you take the trail, you can actually pass by a souvenir stores where you can buy souvenirs or pasalubong, which is a local product such as keychains and such. Now, as you proceed to the next point, which is the Santa Fe, you have to take a garage so that you will be able to go back to the barangay hall in case you wanted to go home or go back to your accommodation. But if you wanted to proceed to your next destination that I'm going to share you later on, is that still you're going to have the same route, which is the Felix Road, to proceed with the next destination. But before we proceed to our next destination, just to inform you, is that the trail of Mount Ulap Echo Trail has a span of 8 kilometers and that it will probably take you for about 4 to 6 hours of the hike. So I hope that you enjoyed all the sharings that I gave you before we proceed to our next destination. Okay, now proceeding to our next attraction or destination is the Mount Bidawan in Poblacion, Itogon. So taking the same route as the same route we took going to Mount Ulap, will also take, of course, from Baguio, we'll take the Luacan Road going to the Felix Road, and now we'll take the Balatok Road going in there. So just to inform you is that Mount Bidawan is approximately 264 kilometers away from Manila. And of course, it is 1,240 above sea level. So in Mount Bidawan, it's just the same as the usual forest. You can actually have here a view of pine ridges, pine trees, and a relaxing view of the surrounding mountains. But one of the best features of this mountain is actually the Ave Maria Shrine, which is a grotto of Blessed Virgin Mary. This isn't just a destination for mountaineering activities, but also they actually consider this a pilgrimage site for tourists because as you hike the mountain, you can actually take a rest at the Ave Maria Shrine or the grotto, and you can actually also pray in there. They also consider this as a historical site because the grotto or the Ave Maria Shrine was actually designed and was actually being established by a foreign missionary priest on June 20, 1959. So in case you wanted to try a combination of mountaineering, historical tour, and a pilgrimage tour, you can actually visit this place because it's perfect for you. The, this trail actually doesn't take that much of the day, so it will probably take just an half day to try this area. So you might want to try and view the rural rest vibes of rural Poblacion that you can actually also try. What's interesting is that Mount Bitawan is actually one of the best places where such tourism related events are being held to, such as tree plantings. They actually also uh, let this place be a venue for a hike for a cost, in which they use this to fund such events or even to help or sponsor other people. So it's not that far, Mount Bidawan. It's not that far to our next destinations that I am going to introduce you into. So okay, now proceeding to our next destination, which is the Mount Pigingan in Dalupirip, is that Mount Pigingan is approximately 283 kilometers away from Manila. And this experience takes us for about 1 to 2 days of hike. One of its best feature is its prominent summit that is a sharp rock summit that makes you recognize its very sharp edge stone, which makes it a bit more serious when it comes to hiking compared to the other destinations that I have introduced to you. Mount Pigingan is actually actually lives under the shadow of Mount Ugo, another mountain I will be introducing you later on, and that one of its distinct characteristics is that compared to the other mountains, Mount Bigingan has a warmer temperature because of its geographic location, which is near Pangasinan and other lowlands. Thus, you have to expect that compared to the other mountains, this has a warmer temperature than the others. One of its prominent as well characteristics is that once you arrive at the summit of Mount Bigingan is that you'll be able to see a view of the surrounding mountains of Mount Uga. Also, you will have a sneak peek of the Binga Dam and as well as some of the lowlands. Also, you go before you arrive at the starting point of the trail of Mount Bigingan, you'll actually have the opportunity as well to see or to have a view of the Agno River, which is just near the mountain. Now proceeding to our next destination, which is Mount Ugo. It's actually also in Barangay Tinongdan. So we'll take again the same route, which is the Itogon Dalupirip Tinongdan National Road. And the start of this hike is at the Hanging Bridge in Barangay Tinongdan. This trail will probably takes you for about 5 to 6 days to complete the mountaineering activities, thus it requires you patience, willingness, and the passion to try and experience to travel in this place. Now, here's some interesting history about Mount Ugo, or an remarkable event in Mount Ugo. Mount Ugo is actually discovered when a plane crashed. It was actually a Philippine airline aircraft, which is the flight PR-206, that was supposed to be bound to Baguio from Manila, whereas when it tried to land at Baguio, it actually crashed on the slope of Mount Ugo, killing 50 people on board. And this was actually on June 26, 1987. But then, regardless of this incident, this actually caused the people to discover the mountain as they go and searched for the plane and the people that were that was a victim of the plane crashed. Now, after that, after the discovery of this mountain, they actually tried to convert and divert it as a place or as a as a tourism destinations for the people. So in this mountain, it actually has three sections, which is the Ugo Traverse, which is the common type of hiking area, just simple call and just normal type of a trail that people can hike into. The next one is a trail that connects Mount Ugo and also Mount Pulag, where actually you can pass by some several villages, also some river valleys, mossy forests, and there are more that you can actually witness in there about wildlife. And of course, the last section is where you can actually pass by you're going to take the Ambanao Trail, in which you can actually experience challenging trails and even bridges that are difficult and at the same time easy to pass by. So it is actually one of the most challenging trails among all the destinations that I have introduced you into. So if you wanted to try a very long trail and challenge, you can actually take this one because this is the best one for you. So Mount Ugo is actually situated in the borders of Benguet and Nueva Vizcaya. As a result, this became one also of the best destinations that you can try to because of its trails. You can see several views and panoramic views and also some several experiences that will make your travel more memorable. So that is all I can share to you about the four destinations. Again, to go to summarize, our destinations is from Manila going to Baguio, and from Baguio we'll start going to Mount Ulap Eco Trail through the Luacan Felix Road. And from Mount Ulap Eco Trail in Ampuca, we'll proceed to Mount Bidawan in Poblacion, Itogon, which features an Ave Maria shrine. We'll take, of course, the Dalupirip Itogon Road, and taking the same route, we'll proceed to Mount Pigingan in Dalupirip Itogon, And lastly, we'll go to Mount Ugo, which is in Tinungdan, Itogon, as the destinations or attractions that we visit. Now, that is all I can share to you about the rural vibes or rustic experience here in the municipality of Itogon. So I hope you enjoy. Now, I encourage you that let's all travel. Let's be a mountaineer, discover more mountains, be with me as we go along with our journey. Again, I am Marisol Sabaday and thank you for listening. So, in case you wanted to know more about the attractions, you can visit the official website of the municipality of Itagan, the Tourism, Culture, and Arts webpage. You can also try to visit the Facebook page of every barangays that I have told you there, which is the Barangay Ampukaw, Barangay Dalupiri, Barangay Tinungdan, and Barangay Poblacion. Thank you so much.